Behind me is the Rideau Canal. It's a lasting example of early Canadian infrastructure on a grand scale. Completed in 1832, it's the oldest continually operating canal system in North America. Built by both government and private contractors, the Rideau Canal is an early example of a cooperative approach to the construction and maintenance of large-scale infrastructure projects. They're called public-private partnerships, and this means of building and maintaining public facilities is starting to catch on in cities right across the country.
Of course, maintaining infrastructure has something to do with making driving easier. But is this an example of tax dollars at work on the problem? Yes. This inflatable sports complex is the result of a cooperative arrangement between Ottawa City Hall and a private developer.
Welcome to the Superdome at Ben Franklin Park. This is our newest project, P3 project with the City of Ottawa. The dome itself is 350 feet long and 220 feet wide. You can see that we have the indoor driving range available.
The Superdome is the newest such facility to spring up on the Ottawa landscape. A P3, or public-private partnership, which both the operator and city managers say is a winning combination for the sporting public and the public purse.
P3s are a good idea because the city is gaining tremendous value out of the private sector in entering into these agreements. And that value comes in the form of efficiencies, but as well, in a fiscal climate like we have right now, it is one of the ways in which council can address a programming need when it lacks the capital dollars to do that.
The city put up the land and provided some of the financing, including agreeing not to collect property taxes. The developers contributed some of their money to fund the construction and their expertise in transforming open fields into recreation complexes.
This is what we do for a living. So we can walk in from design, build, and manage. So from scratch, and then a year later, or a year and a half later, you have a facility that is ready to go. You don't have the worry of the ongoing capital expenses or operating expenses. That would be ours. As well, at the end of 30 years with this agreement, we have a 20-year lease with 2 5-year options. We hand the keys over to the city and they can do what they will.
This is pretty cool. This isn't one of these deals where you hit the ball and it flies into a net 20 yards away before it has a chance to go horribly wrong. Of course, some people might say it's a bit unfair that operators of the other facilities have to compete with a quasi-public entity, or ask if it's really a legitimate use of the government power that Ottawans don't have to wait to spring to find out that they still can't hit the ball. But the thing I'd ask you to pause while duck hooking into the floodlights and ask yourself is this. Since private firms may be willing to put up money but insist on being paid, what is the benefit of public-private partnerships? Now, the answer is they're meant to combine government transparency and public use with private sector efficiency. But it doesn't just happen automatically. You have to be careful that you don't wind up instead mixing commercial secrecy with government waste. That's not to say that public-private partnerships don't work. It's just to say that with infrastructure, as with so much else in life, there is no substitute for intelligent hard work.
Public-private partnerships are starting to emerge, especially for those kind of, social, cultural, recreational centers where there is a funding system that is associated with it, which is user pay.
Welcome to the land of user pay. Whether you arrive by train, by bridge, or by water taxi, just getting onto Manhattan Island will cost you. And that's only the beginning.
Over 3/4 of the infrastructure in the United States is in private hands. Yet the regulation of infrastructure is largely public. And also the private entities that own and operate the infrastructure get revenues. So again, there has to be some partnership in the financing.
It's part of a North American trend towards privatization of the management of public facilities. Here at New York University's Institute for Civil Infrastructure Systems, those who study infrastructure and act as consultants to industry and government have to consider public security concerns when making their recommendations for planning the design and maintenance of vital services.
After 9/11, the attacks on New York City, our work changed very dramatically. Prior to 9/11, we were looking at infrastructure performance. And then after 9/11, we really had to look at infrastructure in a very different way, how we could secure it against terrorist attack. Since the Department of Homeland Security was established, they have had a number of different funding programs specifically targeted for infrastructure. There's a transit program, ferries, mainly transportation, ports and the like all get funding under Homeland Security.